Hey YouTube family, this is Professor Green coming with another segment of Color of Truth, where we unveil the real color of all truth. This segment is going to be entitled Not Giving In to Societal Demands and Unrealistic Expectations. Oftentimes, when I speak to individuals who are formerly incarcerated, who are reintegrating back into society from institutions or prisons, I usually have this conversation with men who feel like them being institutionalized for so long or being incarcerated that they have to sort of catch up with society or make up for the time that they've lost. But with this segment, I want to also speak to those that are in any social institution in America as a black man. Now, this is not to exclude women as it relates to gender or other ethnic groups, but I want to speak specifically to the black man in America, since this is an Afrocentristic channel. Um, when I talk about societal demands and not giving in to societal demands and unrealistic expectations, um, we live in we live in a racial caste system, and also I would also say that we live in a social class or a class caste system in America. So oftentimes the black man not only faces the double whammy or double jeopardy for being black and for being a male, but those who have been justice system impacted. When you talk about justice, you talk about the laws, the jails, the institutions, everything that impacts a person that's connected to the justice system as a whole, then we face the triple threat. We got the triple whammy because you face the barriers of being a formerly incarcerated individual, being black in America, and also with gender roles switching, there poses another problem. So when I talk about societal demands and then I get into unrealistic expectations, I want to speak specifically to the black man in America. And this is not to malign African American women or black women, because they can also be in this position of having to give in to societal demands and unrealistic expectations. But as a black man with lived experience, I want to kind of speak to it specifically for black men. So when I talk about societal demands, I think about at this time when you're being told by 30 or by 40 or by this certain type of age, you should have been accomplished this. You should have been reached this type of milestone. You should have been, you should have a home. You should have a car. You should have all of these things. And I want to speak to that and try to say that that's not always the case. Society can impress upon you where you should be in society at a certain point in time. And I'm always reminding, when I have the conversations, I always encourage black men by saying that whenever you arrive to whatever your goals, whatever your aspirations are, whatever you're trying to endeavor, is whenever you arrive to it. Don't allow society to dictate when you should own a home, when you should have a certain type of car or have a car at all, what type of job you should have. And if you don't have this type of job or you don't work in this type of employment agency, then you're less than a person. So I always remind people, and you can go and research it and look this up, that the colonel that started KFC didn't do it until he was 65. So there's no expected time when you can reach your goals or you can arrive to the pinnacle or who you of success that you want to be as a man. So oftentimes people will say, well, and sometimes our women will look down upon us if we don't have that. I want to say to you ladies that just because you see a man walking doesn't mean that he doesn't have a car. Just because he doesn't have on a certain attire doesn't mean that he doesn't have a attire. He can't dress up. You know, just because you see a man working in McDonald's or Burger King doesn't mean that he doesn't have dreams and goals and aspirations. You know, and I want to talk to my brothers and say, don't give in to the weight that society will place on you. Don't try to live like the Joneses, especially after incarceration. It's no way you can make up for the time. I don't care if it's a year or if it's 10 years or it's 20 years. It's no way that you can make up for the time that you lost. But now you can get it back on your feet. You can get out here. You can work hard, and then you can try to fulfill your goals and your dreams of being a CEO, of being an entrepreneur, of running a Fortune 500 company, of working, spending time with your children, taking pictures, eating ice cream with them. All of those things. Children, if you have children wear clothes and they tell toys, their shoes, they're going to outgrow their shoes, they're going to outgrow their clothes. So those materialistic things is not what they need. It's the time that you can give them from whenever you give them from that starting point. It's nurturing them. Now, what happens is the unrealistic expectations kick in from the significant others. And significant other is not always a wife or a spouse. Significant other is anybody that has influence in your life. And for formerly incarcerated individuals, sometimes, and not only for formerly incarcerated individuals, black men as a whole, there's an expectation, and sometimes it's unrealistic from the people that supposed to care about us and the people who's supposed to love us and the people who's supposed to support us. And if you're a man and you've been through this, you can drop a comment about it. I'm talking about the conversations about where I've held it down all this time you was gone, whether it was during a deployment, whether it was during an incarceration, whatever the case may be. The woman might say, well, I've held it down. It's not to kick women now. I'm just saying from a lived experience and from what men go through. And sometimes it could be vice versa if the gender roles have switched. But I'm speaking specifically for what happens to the black man. And I've held it down while you was gone, or you ain't bringing in enough money, or all these things, and you out here and you trying and you struggling, you trying to make ends meet, and you working 2 and 3 jobs. Now there's a stereotype out here of the lazy black man. I see a lot of black men that work 2 jobs, sometimes 3 jobs. That's out here. They might have menial labor jobs that they don't earn a livable wage, but yet though they're out here trying. There was a stereotype that black men don't take care of their children. I wanted to start taking pictures of every black man I seen with a little child, whether it was a surrogate or not, that I constantly continue to see black men walking with their children, black men in the park with their children, black men taking care of their children. And so the unrealistic expectation is sometimes our ladies don't support us in our dreams and our vision. And if that man don't have a dream or a vision, help him build one. Especially as women are breaking the glass ceilings, there's an opportunity there for you to help. I've heard women that say, well, I ain't got time to build no man. I ain't got time to support no man. They should already have it together. Just because you see a man working in McDonald's, just because you see a man out here and he's working on the road, doing road work, or you see a man on a bicycle, it does not mean that he doesn't have a dream, he doesn't have a vision, he doesn't have goals, he doesn't have aspirations. And when a man is kicked down, they can't function most times, especially from those that they love. And it's reminded from a spiritual perspective of Job's wife. She enjoyed all of the bliss, all of the 7,000 cows, the 7,000 sheep, all the tents that they had, all the cattle, all the land. And soon as calamity, if you haven't read the story, read the story of Job. When calamity struck and adversity came, she told Job, why don't you just curse God and die? So you enjoyed all of the bliss of what it was that you had. And then as soon as calamity struck, you just want him to be expired? You want him to be destroyed? So what I'm saying is, when I talk about unrealistic expectations, is that don't allow anybody, black man, don't allow anybody to make you feel, especially if you've been out here in the streets, especially if you're trying to get away from a life of criminality or deviant behavior. Don't allow anybody, I don't care who it is, that's bringing negative energy into your life, to cause you to go back to the old ways, to cause you to feel so low that you want to commit suicide. I don't care who it is. I don't care where the adversity comes from or the adversary comes from, because the adversary can use whoever he will to make you feel less than, to lower your self-concept, to lower your self-esteem. Don't allow anybody to do that to you. I don't care if it's brother, sister, wife, girlfriend, even if it's your own mama and they bringing that negative energy into your life. You can distance yourself from that. Because people can say what they want to say, but sticks and stones, they say sticks and stones break your bones, but words can never hurt you. That's a lie. Words is what frame the whole world. If you are a believer in whatever spiritual, they say that by the word of God, the world was framed. Words hold power. I was always taught that the power of life and death is in the tongue. The tongue is an unruly evil, and who can tame it? It sets the whole course of the world on fire. You can make people or break people with words. Don't allow anybody to make or break you with their words. Don't allow anybody to lower your self-esteem and your self-concept of yourself. Don't internalize what people may say, because they're being used to try to dehumanize you, to try to emasculate you as a black man. Stand strong. Keep your hands to the plow. Keep pressing in whatever your goals, your dreams is, and it will come into fruition. But if you give up, then there's nothing left to be done. The farmer that prepares for the rain receives the harvest. Just keep planting and keep preparing. And then sooner or later, that thing that you want to accomplish, that thing that you want to do, it will come to pass. I promise you. Now, from a sociological perspective, I want to share something with you. There's a term called coolie and the looking glass self. Watch this now. This is deep. And I want you to catch this. When you talk about giving into societal demands and unrealistic expectation, society can dictate where you will be at in 5, 10, 20 years. You could play one lottery ticket and become a millionaire or a billionaire and invest it right. I'm reminded of the movie. I'm not a Tyler Perry fan, but he made one movie. He directed a movie called Acrimony. And in that movie, I ain't going to spoil it for you, but go back and watch that movie. This man had a dream of making this invention, and he kept working at it and kept working and kept working at it. His wife, his family turned their back on him. His wife's family turned their back on him. And he promised his wife, I'm going to have this dream. I'm going to have this boat. I'm going to have this house. I'm going to put you in this and this. Just believe in my vision. I know I can do this. And he lost the wife's mother house. And he kind of disrupted the wife's brother family's business. But one day his invention paid off and somebody gave him millions of dollars for his invention. And his wife wound up leaving him, and the life that he said he was going to give her, he wound up giving to another woman. It can happen. All a black man needs is somebody to support him, to walk alongside when he say, hey, I got these ideas. You know what I'm saying? You can say, well, man, how can I help your ideas come into fruition? Not that you always got all these ideas. You always got, I don't care who it is, a wife, a brother, a sister, but you always got all these ideas. You always saying you're going to do this, you're going to do that. You never finish anything. It doesn't mean that it can't be finished, but with the right support in society, with the right social safety net, then a person can accomplish whatever they want to accomplish. Getting back to Cooley and the Looking Glass self. Watch how deep this is, and watch how we can internalize and develop a self-concept off of how we think other people see us. Charles Horton Cooley was a symbolic interactionist. That's a person who viewed the world through social interaction using linguistics and also using social interaction and how that shapes human behavior, especially in childhood. You can destroy a person from childhood by not believing in their dreams and their visions. We're supposed to nurture a child in the way they should go, and when they're old, they will not depart from it. That's not just talking about forcing the Bible down their throat. That's talking about finding out what that child's interest is, like Serena and Venus Williams' daddy did. He went and learned how to play tennis in order to teach them tennis, and they wound up being the best tennis players in the world. And he did it when they were children. Let me get back to Cooley looking at himself. So Horton Cooley studied symbolic interactionism and how we shape behavior through gestures and language and how we talk to one another. Each a looking glass reflects the other that doth pass. So the first thing, it has 3 elements. We imagine how we appear to those around us. So how people think, do we dress well? Do we not dress well? Are we, in my community, they would say, are you lame? Or are you cool? Are you witty? Or are you dull? Are you smart? Are you less intelligent? So then after we imagine how we appear to others, we interpret others' reactions to us. So we begin not only interpret, but internalize how other people react to us, what other people say to us. We evaluate it. Do they dislike me because I'm not cool? Do this person dislike me because I keep having all these dreams, these visions? I want to start these businesses, but I don't know how to get it started. I keep starting businesses and they might fail at this time, but one day I'm gonna catch it. I'm gonna get my niche. I keep wanting to go to school. And guess what? Man, my own daughter told me one time. We got in an argument. She wanted to be unruly from a lived experience. And I carry that with me to the day. And we got in an argument. And I said, I pay the bills here. She said something that was so simple that stabbed me so deep. Even though I've kept a roof over her head all her life, worked 2 and 3 jobs. And when I say I pay the bills here, if you don't want to be here, get out. She said, barely. Barely, you barely do it. Do you know how that cut me in the inside? But if I were to internalize that and let that stifle me from pressing on, then who would know where I would be at today? But back to what I'm saying, we interpret others' reactions to us, how they think about us. And we develop a self-concept. That self-concept could be a negative self-concept or a positive self-concept. And it begins in childhood, but it leads all the way to adulthood. It's never a finished product. So I tell my students, my young students, my high school students, as well as the students that I teach adult and adult higher education, never allow anybody's interpretation of you to make you develop low self-esteem or a low self-concept. Always believe in your own somebodyness. I don't care if whoever else don't. Always believe in your own somebodyness. Know that you have self-worth. Know that you are somebody, that God don't make junk. Always believe in yourself and what you can do. Because if you only look at yourself through the lenses of others, you know how many people we come in contact with throughout our lifespan? Then you're going to have a hard road. I'm going to have a hard road. Black man, you going to have a hard road. Black woman, you going to have a hard road. Only look at yourself through the lenses of yourself. You can do it. Black man, you could do it. Don't let nobody lower your self-esteem. Don't let nobody lower your self-concept. Color of truth.